How to build shelter when the world has ended. Your house is ash. The hardware store is a smoking crater, and hypothermia is already writing your name in frost. The bombs dropped, the cities are silent. The sky tastes like burnt plastic and regret. Your apartment? Gone. Your car? Melted. Your survival kit? You never bought one because you thought the government would save you. Spoiler, they didn't. Now it's you, the wilderness, and a 40% chance of freezing to death before sunrise. No hammer, no nails, no YouTube tutorials because the grid is dead and your phone is a paperweight. But here's the good news. You don't need tools. You need physics, spite, and a willingness to sleep in dirt like your ancestors did before IKEA ruined them. Time to build a shelter with your hands and maybe a rock. First rule, location is everything. Second rule, everywhere sucks, so pick the least deadly option. You're looking for three things: cover, drainage, and a lack of corpses. Start by avoiding the obvious. That gas station? Occupied by someone with a shotgun and trust issues. That FEMA shelter? It's a crater shaped like broken campaign promises. That cozy cabin in the woods? Haunted, or worse, already claimed by someone who knows how to set traps. Find high ground. Not too high, or the wind will peel your skin off like a potato. Not too low, or you'll wake up in a puddle of radioactive runoff. Look for natural windbreaks, cliffs, dense trees, rock formations. Bonus points if there's a cave. Caves are nature's bunkers. Just check for bears first. Or don't. Maybe you need the protein. Drainage matters because water flows downhill, and so does your luck. Sleep in a valley, wake up in a stream. Sleep on a slope, wake up dry or dead from a landslide. It's a gamble. Avoid riverbeds. They flood. Avoid clearings. They're wind tunnels. Avoid anywhere that looks too perfect. If it looks safe, someone else already thought of it, and they're not sharing. You need materials. Fortunately, the apocalypse is a hardware store with no cashier. Look for debris, fallen branches, dead trees, bark, leaves, vines, mud, rocks, and anything else the forest is willing to donate. No saws? Use your hands. No rope? Make it. No dignity? You lost that when you started eating canned beans cold. Start with a frame. Find long, sturdy branches wrist thick, arm length, still flexible enough to bend without snapping. You're building a skeleton. Think ribs. Think structure. Lean them against a tree, a rock, or each other in an A-frame. This is your roof, your walls, your only barrier between you and the void. Angle it at 45 degrees, steep enough to shed rain and snow, shallow enough that you're not building a wind sail that'll launch you into next week. If it collapses, you start over. If it holds, you might survive the night. Next, insulation. Gather everything soft, dry, and flammable. Leaves, pine needles, moss, grass, bark strips. Pile it thick, thicker. You want at least 6 inches of dead plant matter between you and the cold. Why? Because air is a terrible conductor of heat, and trapped air in organic debris is your only blanket. Now, dead leaves have an R value of about 2 per inch. That's better than some store-bought insulation, and it's free if you ignore the part where civilization collapsed. No sleeping bag, no fleece, just decomposition and desperation. Weave smaller branches horizontally through your frame. This is your lattice. Your skeleton needs skin.
Layer the leaves and moss over the lattice. Pack it tight. If you can see through it, the wind can cut through it. And wind is a serial killer. It doesn't stab you, it just waits. Let's continue with Phase 3, weatherproofing with trash and spite. So, your shelter is up. Don't get comfortable. It's a glorified compost heap that's about 4 hours away from total collapse in the first rain. It's time to weatherproof. Find mud, not just any dirt. You need wet, thick, clay-heavy mud. Mix it with dry grass, maybe some pine needles, until you've made a primitive mortar. Then you smear it all over the outside of your shelter. This isn't just mud, it's your sealant, your armor. It'll harden in the sun and shed water like a drunk sheds responsibilities. That grass you mixed in, that's your rebar. It stops the mud from cracking as it dries, because even dirt needs structural integrity when the world itself has none left. Can't find mud? Use bark. Peel it off dead trees in largest sheets you can find. Birch bark is a gift. It's naturally waterproof because of its oils. Native Americans built canoes from it. You're using it because Home Depot is now a parking lot full of skeletons. You have to overlap the sheets like shingles, starting from the bottom and working your way up. Water flows down. Physics doesn't care about your feelings. If you layer from the top down, you've built a funnel to drown yourself. Layer bottom to top, and you've built a roof. Test it. Pour water on your work. If it beads and rolls off, you're golden. If it soaks through, you're sleeping in a wet coffin. Now, seal the gaps. Every single crack is a highway for wind, rain, and regret. Use moss, more mud, a handful of leaves. Stuff every opening like you're cocking a bathtub, because you are. It's just a bathtub made of sticks in the middle of the woods, while something howls in the distance. A single 1-inch gap can drop your shelter's internal temperature by 10 degrees. That is the razor-thin line between sleep and hypothermia. So you seal it like your life depends on it, because it does. Phase 4, the floor, because the ground is lava, thermally speaking. You think you're safe now. The ground is your enemy. It's cold, it's wet, and it is a thermal vampire that will suck the heat right out of your body faster than a bad relationship. You need a floor, not a real one, a biological barrier. Conductive heat loss, heat transfer through direct contact, accounts for 80% of your body heat loss. When you're lying down, you can have the best roof in the wasteland and still freeze from the bottom up. So you gather more leaves, pine needles, dry grass, small branches, and you pile them inside your shelter until they're at least 8 inches deep. This is your mattress, your insulation, your only defense. The ground is 50 degrees. Your body is 98.6. Thermodynamics says you're losing that battle. This floor says maybe not tonight. Pine needles are elite for this. They're hollow, so they trap air better than leaves, and they don't compress into a pancake overnight. You wake up insulated, not flattened. You have to layer this bedding like a lasagna. Sticks on the very bottom for airflow, then grass, then leaves, then a thick top layer of pine needles where your body rests. Even a makeshift mattress requires engineering when comfort is a war crime. And remember to replace this bedding every few days. The moisture from your own breath will condense into your insulation, turning your insulation into a cold, damp sponge that steals your heat instead of saving it. And if you find flat rocks, you've hit the jackpot. Stack them inside your shelter during the day to absorb solar heat. At night, they'll radiate it back to you. Congratulations, you just invented a thermal battery with garbage and spite. Rocks hold heat for hours. It's called thermal mass. It's the same principle that keeps a pizza oven hot and keeps you from becoming a corpsicle. But listen carefully. Wrap those heated rocks with cloth or bark before you put them anywhere near your body. Direct contact will cause severe burns, and having to explain frostbite and burns to any future survivors just makes you look incompetent, assuming you survive long enough to be embarrassed. Let's continue with phase 5, ventilation, because suffocation is embarrassing. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Shelters kill, not from cold, from carbon dioxide. You breathe in oxygen, you breathe out poison. In a sealed space, you're basically hotboxing yourself to death. Ironic? Yes. Avoidable? Also yes. CO2 is heavier than air, so it pools at the bottom of your shelter like invisible quicksand. You'll pass out before you realize you're dying, which is nature's way of saying you should have paid attention to chemistry class. Leave a small gap near the top of your shelter, not huge, just enough for air to escape. Hot air rises, cold air sinks. Use convection to your advantage by venting at the peak. You're exhausting poison and keeping warmth where it matters. Now, if you're burning a fire inside your shelter, which you shouldn't unless you're suicidal, outside, close enough to feel the heat, far enough that you don't become a news story. Find dry wood. Dead branches snap clean. Live branches bend. You won't snap, you won't dry, you won't kindling. Tiny twigs, dry leaves, bark shavings, anything that catches fast. Fat wood, that resin-soaked pine from dead stumps, burns even when wet because physics occasionally throws you a bone in the apocalypse. No lighter, no matches? Welcome to the Stone Age. Use friction. Find a straight stick and a flat piece of wood. Carve a notch in the flat piece. Spin the stick in the notch using your hands or a bow drill if you're fancy. The friction generates heat. The heat makes an ember.
The ember makes fire, or it doesn't, and you freeze. It's a coin flip. You need 800 degrees F to ignite wood. Your hands, a stick, and rage can get you there, but it'll take 20 minutes of non-stop spinning, so start before your fingers go numb. Char cloth, that's just fabric burned in a low-oxygen environment. It catches sparks like it's desperate, which it is, and so are you. Once you have fire, feed it. Small sticks first, then bigger logs. Keep it alive. Fire is life. Fire is warmth. Fire is the only thing standing between you and becoming a popsicle with a backstory. Build a reflector wall with rocks or logs behind the fire. It bounces heat back towards you and doubles your warmth output, which is the closest thing to a miracle you're getting tonight. The science and the payoff. Here's what you just did. You built a microclimate. Your shelter traps warm air. The insulation slows conductive heat loss. The weatherproofing blocks convective heat loss from wind. The ground stops the ground from stealing your body heat. The fire radiates thermal energy. You're not fighting the cold. You're negotiating with physics. And for once, physics is listening. Will it be comfortable? No. Will it be warm? Barely. Will it keep you alive? Maybe. But maybe is better than definitely dead. You didn't need a hammer. You didn't need nails. You didn't need a contractor or a permit or a Pinterest board. You needed dirt, sticks, and the understanding that survival isn't about comfort. It's about spite. It's about waking up one more time and saying, not today, hypothermia, not today. The world ended. You didn't. Congrats. Now do it again.